Oil under pressure so far in the session. Brent down 3.7%, back below $75 a barrel. WTI just above $71, down 3.7% as well. This on reporting from the Washington Post that Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has told the White House he is willing to strike Iran's military rather than those oil or nuclear facilities. Let's bring in Bloomberg's Horizons Middle East and Africa anchor Joumanna. Joumanna, what does this mean then for tensions in the region? How seriously should we take this reporting? How much clarity do we have on Israel's potential decision on this issue?
Well, lots of questions there, Tom. Let me just start with, we don't have a lot of clarity on what Israel are expected to do, but what we do know is that there have been extensive discussions within the security cabinet, but also with the U.S. as well. Washington Post echoing a similar report that was put out by NBC last Friday, suggesting that they had reached an agreement over Israel limiting their strikes to military infrastructure as opposed to going after oil infrastructure, which could cause significant upheaval in some of these oil markets. And the more nuclear option, of course, would be going after nuclear facilities as well, which was also one of the concerns that people had raised. But what is clear from all of this is that there have been active discussions taking place between the U.S. administration. And of course, they're keeping an eye on the upcoming U.S. elections. They do not want to see a huge tumult in the price of oil. But at the same time, the U.S. have also done their bit by doing two things. The first is, we spoke about this yesterday, supplying Israel with this sophisticated missile defense system called THAAD. We spoke about it yesterday. It's expected to be operational in coming days. And the second element is that also this went under the radar, but on Friday, U.S. also announced further sanctions that would pretty much hit all of Iran's oil industry. Goldman Sachs estimate that that could hit about 1 million barrels a day if indeed these sanctions are enforced. And therefore, it seems as though the approach here is, yes, Israel will definitely strike back Iran in some shape or format, but it is alongside further defense capabilities coming through from the U.S. and sanctions being applied to Iran as well.
OK, so we talked about the fact that this reporting has, of course, put pressure on the oil markets. What have been the other drivers of oil in the last 24 hours or so, Joumanna?
Well, you see what's happening with the price of oil this morning, down 3%, and not just on back of this Washington Post stories. There were several other drivers as well. You go back to the fundamentals, which is China. China demand signals once again showing some weakness there. There were oil imports. The data came out showing weakness for the 5th month in a row, year-on-year declines as far as oil imports are concerned. And China, of course, as we know, is one of the largest oil-consuming nation in the world. In addition to that, OPEC Plus revised downwards their demand growth forecast into next year. Now, OPEC Plus tend to be on the more optimistic side of the spectrum. They've tend to overshot vis-a-vis other think tanks out there, but they have revised down their outlook for the 3rd month in a row. They now see the demand growth totaling 1.93 million barrels a day for this year, 1.64 million barrels a day for next year. Just to give you context here, other think tanks are saying that it will be closer to around 1 million barrels a day. So they're still much higher than what the market is penciling in. So you are looking at a mismatch here between supply and demand in an environment where OPEC Plus are signaling that they're still going to start putting oil barrels back to the market in the 4th quarter of this year. But then on the flip side, Tom, we talk about these further sanctions on the Iranian oil exports. So if those do come to pass, then they could exert a bit of upward pressure. In addition to that, we talk about some of the further geopolitical tensions that could emanate should this regional conflict get bigger than it actually is. So there's still some potential for supply disruptions, but overall, what we're seeing this morning is the fundamentals continue to weigh.